agenda.
That led to this.
I think that it was a conscious choice of words, and it's not just a dog whistle, it's a bullhorn.
That wasn't just a dog whistle, that was a bullhorn. I mean, that was a blatantly racist comment.
When you say monkey in reference to an African American, he might as well have just said the N-word.
Juan Williams joins us in a moment with his reaction to that. Chris Steigerwald on the big picture shaping up in the political Sunshine State. And we begin with Jonathan Hunt in our West Coast newsroom with the top story tonight. Hi, Jonathan.
Hey, good evening, Martha. Let's just set this out for everyone exactly as it happened and in the words of those involved. First, for context, here again.
I'm going to pause it right there for just a second and we'll go back to live again, but I just want to say that prior to that news event blowing out the entire news media, they're all talking about him, DeSantis saying, don't want things to get monkeyed up or monkey up in regards to a race that has a black man in it. They're calling that racist, but all morning, my point is all morning I had that song by the Rolling Stones, I'm a monkey. As silly as that sounds, I mean, I feel weird even saying it, then this news event occurred. So just want to get that down for the record, back on live.
Here again is Ron DeSantis on America's Newsroom this morning.
So we've got to work hard to make sure that we continue Florida going in a good direction. Let's build off the success we've had on Governor Scott. The last thing we need to do is to monkey this up by trying to embrace a socialist agenda with huge tax increases and bankrupting the state.
Terry Rizzo, the chairwoman of the Florida Democratic Party, immediately tweeted, quote, "It's disgusting that Ron DeSantis is launching his general election campaign with racist dog whistles." Within a short time of that, DeSantis' spokesman put out a statement rejecting any allegations that the language Mr. DeSantis used was racist in any way, saying, quote, "Ron DeSantis was obviously talking about Florida not making the wrong decision to embrace the socialist policies that Andrew Gillum espouses. To characterize it as anything else is absurd." This afternoon, Shepard Smith interviewed Mr. Gillum and asked him for his response to the comments by his Republican opponent.
Yeah. I personally don't want to hear that opinion again. If the Democratic Party is going to hang their hat on Republicans being racist, I think they're fighting an uphill battle. That's just my opinion. So I'll wait until he's done saying it for the third time. I've already heard it. Okay.
The election, Martha, it was always going to be heated in Florida. It got ugly quicker than any of us might have imagined.
Sure did. Jonathan, thank you very much. Good to see you tonight. So Juan Williams, co-host of The Five, and a Fox News political analyst and friend of the story here tonight. Juan, good to have you here.
Things I don't want to hear. That's my
Well, I think what you have to understand is we live in an age of heightened racial tensions according to every poll out there right now. And this is among whites and blacks who say that racial tensions are higher in the age of Donald Trump than they were previously. And of course you have to keep in mind he comes after the first black president, President Obama,
outlet on the planet saying so.
The birther controversy.
I blame it on them.
And then you come to Ron DeSantis, who is a Trump acolyte, and I might add, you see something very similar taking place in the state of Georgia, where you have a black woman, Stacey Abrams, running against Brian Kemp, another Trump true believer in that state. So here we have racially combustible energy right here in the politics of our country, and then DeSantis comes out and says, not only monkey it up, which I think people might hear as a slur, but he says articulate and a socialist spokesman, and you start to think, I understand he's trying to put down his opponent, as every politician everywhere does, but in this moment, he comes across as racially charged.
I get you, and I obviously, you know, a couple things bothered me about it. One is that when I heard it, it didn't occur to me that way at all. I thought monkey, I
Said
like,
at
you know,
all.
it doesn't
Exact
sound
same
to me
sense.
like a racist thing to say. Then what struck me is that my first reference with it was something I saw on Twitter that said that DeSantis said that Florida shouldn't monkey it up by electing a black governor.
hypnotizing
But that
you
was
yet?
what he said, and that was everywhere. Everywhere.
No,
There were like 10
time is
references I
in.
saw, and I
Yep.
said, oh, there's no way that he said that. You know, why would he say that?
Loving it.
Then I looked at it, he didn't say that.
I said
He's
it,
talking
she said
about a
it.
reference between, you don't want to monkey up the work that he sees as good work by
That's a
Governor
McDonald's
Scott
slogan.
by turning to a socialist plan for the economy in
I'm gonna
Florida. So
actually
what kind of
start
world are
trying to
we
be
living
more
in
careful with
where
what I
this
say.
is how quickly
People
we
really
jump
are
to that?
taking
And then
stuff.
Gillen says, you know, well, we're so divided, how sad that we're divided. But it's not a dog whistle, it's a bullhorn. So instead of saying he doesn't want to be divided, he's using this politically right out of the gate.
You know what you have to keep in mind is that I don't think that Gillum is to be pilloried and say, oh, he is taking advantages. I think he said, to the contrary to Shepard Smith this afternoon, he wants to avoid division and
He
derision.
said that one, but that wasn't what he did.
No, I think that is what he did so far.
He said, oh, no, they don't do it. And he used this phrase, which clearly the communications manager for the campaign used the same exact phrase. So
Exactly.
clearly they all got together and said, we're going to say it's not a dog whistle, it's a full bullhorn. I mean, that was their crafted statement right out of the gate.
I think this goes
Crafted
beyond him. I think that you can hear this from other members, and you played some of the sound bites coming from
She
members
used the
of
exact same
Congress.
phrase, Her Honor.
Exactly. So you're seeing this come
Is
from
that a phrase
across
that
the
people use?
Democratic.
It's not a dog whistle, it's a bullhorn?
Is that a phrase? Yes.
So, I mean, this is obviously what they have decided at the critical. I would love it if someone would come out of this kind of situation and say, you know what, I'm not going to go there. I'm sure that's not what the man meant. Let's talk about the
Well,
issue.
you can say that. I mean, but the thing is, then you run the risk of closing your eyes to an explosive issue in our body politic and something that could be ruinous. And the issue here is not about politeness, because my spirit is with you, Martha. I would say, look, I don't think the guy meant anything. Let's just move on. Let's go back to the politics.
You can't do that anymore in this
You
world.
can't, in this moment, where you have the president going after Maxine Waters and
Maxine Waters goes after him.
no, let me tell you, if you Frederica Wilson, we could go on about the number of black people that this president directly attacks in a way
But I don't
that
think he
sparks
is. I
racial
think
tensions in
he's
this
a
society.
I mean, if you're going to talk about counterattacks, I would say he's pretty colorblind in that. He goes after men, he goes after women, he goes after black people, he goes after white people. I mean, he goes after everybody. So I
You have to, again, be ahistorical or blind to the racial history of this country and the racial tensions of this moment to somehow say, oh, well, why do you guys see race? Why do black people always have a chip on their shoulder? There's a real reason in this moment, given that DeSantis is, and you heard this from Gillum, he is Trump's guy, that he is echoing this kind of talk, and you would think that he's a politician, that he wouldn't be using language like monkey around. We've had episodes where people are talking about cotton picking. You start to think, hey, Martha, I think they're sending a signal. And it may be that they suggest, hey, I have deniability. But at some point you have to say, you know what, I think you're pushing that button for a very specific reason, to excite the worst elements that show up in a Charlottesville. And that's, again, where we are in America. We're not here out of Charlottesville.
Yes, but I think it's really sad to make those assumptions about a phrase like that. Look at dictionary.com, okay? Because I started looking up these references. Dictionary.com is even sort of jumping into the game, okay? They say when the words monkey this up are used to refer to electing a man of color, that would be a blatant, and then they connect directly to dog whistle. So they're also on the same page with the way this is supposed to be read. Then someone else, just going through all this on Twitter, pulls up Merriam-Webster, and they go to this, which says monkey around, which is a slightly different phrase, but it means to take things, to do things that are not useful or serious, to waste time, as in a young scientist monkeying around in a lab. It would have never occurred to me that to monkey something up might be something that would be perceived as racist.
Well, in general, if I'm talking to you, if we ran into each other in the hallway on the 17th floor and we talked about monkeys, I wouldn't even give it a thought, Martha. In this environment where you have the first black man running for the governor of Florida, for his opponent to immediately begin with language about he's articulate, monkey this up. It reminds me.
I think the articulate is more of a dog whistle, to be honest with you.
Well, I remember when Biden.
But I do, because I remember when Joe Biden said it about President Obama
Exactly.
running, and that I thought, oh, that didn't sit right with me,
Okay.
because I thought, would you say that about, you know, a young, together white man who was running? Would you point out that he's articulate? I think that is a more exclusive word in a way than this whole thing. But this is what got seized upon, and what dismays me is to see their campaign jump right in, assume the worst in him, assume that this is what he's doing, connect it all to Donald Trump, and that just further inflames the divisive.
Well, I think we live in an
We all
era.
need to stand up and not give in to that kind of divisive debate.
Well, I don't think there's any way that we can't acknowledge reality in front of us. When the president is talking about black NFL players as fire those SOBs, when he is saying that like LeBron James is dumb, at some point you have to say, wait a second, yeah, he attacks lots of people, but I notice he has a way of going after black people as lazy, dumb, dishonest. You think, you know, at some point, I think this is why a lot of people, including the leadership here at Fox, said, you know, we don't condone that kind of language.
Nobody can know that. I don't want him to call anybody dumb or lazy. And I do not see it necessarily the way you do, because I think he viciously attacks a lot of people, and I have a problem with that. But I don't necessarily see it the way that you do. But I respect your opinion, and I'm glad to see you. And I thank you for coming in.
I'm going to continue teasing you.
Thank you, Juan. Good to see you tonight. All right, so here with more, Chris Direwalt, our Fox News politics editor, to talk about what we saw last night in all of these races. But Chris, just, you know, to weigh in on this issue, first of all, do you think this was damaging to DeSantis? And what do you think of the Gillum campaign's choice to you know, quickly jump on that issue and say that he was being racist?
Was I just mumbling?
This would be a stupid and
Unbelievable
issue-free campaign. We did not know how quickly
just said
we
stupid.
would get to full stupidity and vapidity as we have in this case. We know what the playbook is going to be for both Gillum and DeSantis. DeSantis is going to call him a socialist. Gillum is going to call him a racist, and away we go. And they didn't even make it 6 hours into the campaign, the general election campaign, before we went full bore. You're a socialist, oh yeah, you're a racist. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, what do you make of the fact that this is being seen as sort of a proxy between Bernie Sanders and President Trump, and that it could set up, it will be looked at on election night in Florida as a sort of gauge for where America is on this, since it's such a bellwether state?
And Florida is the biggest alligator in the swing state swamp. You can't be president, essentially, without winning Florida. And Donald Trump won there by less than 2 points. How this plays out, we're going to be looking at very closely, because both sides are playing with plutonium here, right? Both sides, I think it's safe to say that Floridians are going to hear very little about the issues compared to what they're going to hear about Donald Trump. They're going to hear about impeachment. They're going to hear about Bernie Sanders. They're going to hear about socialism. They're going to go right to the beating heart of the political conflict in the country today.
No doubt. Take me to Arizona for a minute. Your thoughts on Martha McSally winning the race that she won there. Kelly Ward and Joe Arpaia were her opponents. How does that shape up to you?
Man, Mitch McConnell plays for keeps. This guy is, I have to say, if you would have said a year ago that he would be able to get so many candidates through so many straitened situations and so many difficult spots, and really, for the Republicans, if McSally had lost that primary, we'd be taking it off the board. It would be a Democrat pickup for sure. If Kelly Ward had won that seat, that would be gone. McSally is going to make this a heck of a good race. We have it listed right now in our power index as a toss-up, and it could be really anybody's game. You have two good candidates who are going to go hard at each other. Yep, the Democrat Kristen Sinema. You have two swing district female members of the House running for a Senate seat. It's going to be great.
So in terms of Martha McSally, I mean, she was a real never-Trumper, and now she sort of has changed her take on that issue, on the president, and he, you know, put out a very gracious tweet about his support for her. You know, I guess one of the questions is, what kind of senator is she if she gets to Washington, do you think, in the end?
I think there is a setting, a bandwidth, and you heard it from Adam Putnam in Florida. You've heard it from McConnell. McConnell has sort of pipe the tune on this. The Republicans have learned how to
Pipe
dance
the
with tune,
tune.
which is don't talk about the things that Trump says that are divisive or explosive.
Right when I start
Lindsey
saying that tune, he said,
quoted John McCain about something. Help them where you can and you think it's appropriate, but don't get drawn into the blank blank. And that's what Republican senators generally have tried to do in the main, and I think that's what kind of Senator McSally would be if she could make it through this.
Interesting. Duncan Hunter, before I let you go, here's what he said last
Duncan
Thursday on our
Hunter,
show
before I let
about
you
his
go.
financial problems and his wife's
Chris
potential
Sterling.
culpability. Watch this.
She handled my finances throughout my entire military career, and that continued on when I got into Congress. She was also the campaign manager. So whatever she did, that'll be looked at too, I'm sure. But I didn't do it. I didn't spend any money illegally.
That didn't go over too well for him. And today he came out and tried to fix it. He said, leave my wife out of it, leave my family out of it. It's me they're after anyway. They're not after my wife. They want to take me down. That's what they're up to.
Your heart just breaks for a family in a situation like this, and you know the politics is rough stuff when you bring in prosecution of federal corruption charges. My gosh, but you know there's kids involved, there's a family involved here, and I would just say for every politician, when you're in the fight and it looks like you've got a good opportunity, it looks like maybe you have a chance to throw some heat on yourself or change the discussion, your family's got to come first, and it sounds like Hunter is in that place now. The family's got to come first and let the elections fall where they may.
My ADD is flying off the rails right now, as always.
So how far might liberals go to protect Pope Francis? Ben Shapiro says, brace yourselves on this fight, and what is it really all about? He's live next.
Story is brought to you by the Lincoln Summer Invitation Sales Event. Hurry in for a limited time off.
You bet.
So how far might liberals go to protect Pope Francis? Ben Shapiro says, brace yourselves on this fight, and what is it really all about? He's live next.
Why would?
Story is brought to you by the Lincoln Summer Invitation Sales Event. Hurry in for limited time offers.
That's a little bit loud right in my ear.
Might liberals go to protect Pope Francis? Ben Shapiro says, brace yourselves on this fight, and what is it really all about? He's live next.
Live.
I count the points, I follow the rules.
Mute. Sounds like Ben Shapiro's about to give his opinion on how far liberals might go to protect Pope Francis, who how far liberals might go to protect Pope Francis and what it is really all about. How far will liberals go to protect Pope Francis, and what's that really all about? Let's see. Not knowing a heck of a lot about it, I know that the Pope, as I was talking about during another commercial break, make sure we're live here. Live. Okay. I need to keep showing the clock, but I can change the channel just to show you Real Housewives of Dallas. Those earrings look like they might drag her down a little bit if she wears them too long. Anyway, back to the story. We're on a commercial break. The Pope has made a couple of statements that really didn't add up to me. Plus, well, let's hear what Ben has to say about.
How far might liberals go, who are very fond of Pope Francis, to protect him? Once hailed for his progressive views on issues like homosexuality and climate change, he is now facing some very disturbing allegations made by one of his own archbishops, suggesting that he knew about the sexual abuse that was happening within the church ranks, very near the top, and then helped cover it up. Ben Shapiro is editor-in-chief of DailyWire.com. Ben, good to see you tonight. Thank you for being here. You wrote about this. You talked about it on your podcast today. What do you see as the hypocrisy in the coverage on this story?
I mean, it's pretty astonishing. So, several years ago, obviously, when the media started to delve into all of the sex abuse allegations against the Catholic Church, there was a great deal of enthusiasm, I think rightly so, in the press for investigating all of that. But now that Pope Francis is at the head of the church, and they like Pope Francis more than they like Pope Benedict in the left-wing press, suddenly they have to rush to Pope Francis's defense over these allegations. And the New York Times ran one of the worst headlines I've ever seen today, talking about how, as the allegations against Pope Francis mount, conservatives pounce. How's conservatives pouncing on sex abuse allegations?
Let's put it up on the screen. Go ahead, Ben. I just want to put it on the screen for everybody to see that. There it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing accusation. The story is not actually serious allegations levied at the head of the Catholic Church by other lead members of the Catholic Church over a cover-up of sex abuse of children. Now, the real story is that conservatives might use this to go get an icon for the political left. It just demonstrates that for the left, it does make you wonder whether it's an actual priority to protect children.